Freddie Prinze Jr., who was on the tips of the tongues of everybody last week because he had announced that he's going to be starting an indie promotion. I did cover that last week as well. Matter of fact, that was the top story. So if you'd like to go back and check out that segment, you can find it on YouTube. Just search out the Clippy. But this week, Freddie Prinze was talking about Dolph Ziggler. He did a big deep dive into the creation of the Dolph Ziggler character. He was there, not only just there backstage to watch the creative, but he was actually he was basically the writer for Dolph Ziggler at that time, in charge of getting the Dolph Ziggler character up and off the ground and up and running. And of course, just like you and me and all of us wrestling fans, when we first heard the name Dolph Ziggler, we saw his talent in the Spirit Squad as a male cheerleader, and it ruined everybody's career in the Spirit Squad except for Dolph Ziggler. But Dolph wasn't much better, and then he was a caddy too, right? He was a caddy for Kerwin White, Chavo Guerrero. Yeah, a lot of bad gimmicks to come back from. But hey, he made something of it. But found this very interesting. Check out this clip of Freddie Prinze Jr. talking about the creation of Dolph Ziggler, the name, and the introductory promo segment. Check this out.
They talk about the debut of this new character, and they want to give him a name. They haven't even come up with the name yet. There's been no discussion. It's the night he's going to debut, and they're just throwing any old name out. Any old, whatever they put on their list in those moments are the names they're throwing out. So no thought, zero thought has been put into this. So Brian, who I love, he throws out the name. I think he almost wanted to start with Dolph Ziggler, like Dirk Diggler, and it was Dolph Ziggler. And my head almost hit the table, the way he would snap a pencil in frustration whenever Vince would make him rewrite a show the day of a show, because that's always a good idea to do. That was my feeling. I finally experienced the pain that Brian was experiencing, only it was now because of him. And sometimes the company would do this. They would rib themselves without even knowing they're ribbing themselves. And it was always something to me that made them struggle with credibility at times, because I'm sitting there and I'm hearing this name, Dolph Ziggler. And I remember saying this. I said, who's going to take that seriously? Who's going to take that seriously? And he wasn't going to be a comedic style wrestler. He was a serious athlete who could friggin' move. And he was going to be billed as a heel. So I'm confused. And I say, we can't do that. And I straight up say, we're basically ripping off Boogie Nights with Dirk Diggler, which was a movie Vince had never seen. And so he didn't even acknowledge that. But they go, okay, we won't do that. And so I don't know if it was Brian. I don't know if it was Vince. I don't know who the final say was. You'll have to accost them digitally to find out. But someone says, well, what about Dolph Ziggler? And again, that name sucks. You cannot do that. This name sucks. What are your ideas? I don't know. I'm probably throwing anything out there. John friggin' Wayne. I mean, anything. Just don't. Sean Wayne. How about Sean Wayne? If you're going to do Dolph Ziggler. So it was not a long argument. I lost quickly. I guess my punishment for fighting the good fight was I was assigned the segment to direct or produce, they call it, the first time we're ever going to meet this wonderfully named wrestler, superstar, Dolph Ziggler.
It was the worst fucking name, Dolph Ziggler. He said it was like, first of all, it's a play on Dirk Diggler, and then it's instant death. And he makes a point. He talks about later in the podcast. He says, it kind of became, after a while, like the name Dolph Ziggler doesn't bother you anymore. He's just Dolph. And we've kind of seen that in wrestling over the years, haven't we? Like, even like Butch is starting to grow on me a little bit now. I hated it. I did a segment here on the show. I did an epic rant on Butch. How you're fucking ruling. You're ruining fucking Pete Dunne. You're wrecking his character. But I'll tell you, you know, like I said, it's Vince's playpen. It's his fig fed. You know, we talked about Tony Khan's fig fed. Well, this is Vince's fig fed, and in his fig fed, he's got Dolph Ziggler's, and it's a horrible name, but he made it work. He made and it was funny too because Prince talked about the gimmick where he walked up and introduced himself to everybody backstage. I remember this so fondly. I didn't remember it until he brought it up, but I was like, oh yeah. And I just thought Dolph was just the stupidest shit back in the day. But look, he's not over with me. I'm not going to put him over that hard. I'm not saying I'm a Dolph Ziggler fan or I love him. I think he's an immense talent. I feel like what he's done with the name, the gimmick, the character, what he was able to turn it into and where he sits right now. He's a veteran. He's a decorated veteran. He's not a headlining Hall of Famer, but he could certainly be a opening act, if you will, a preliminary Hall of Famer 10, 20 years down the road. Look, the standard's not that high. Dolph Ziggler is an amazing talent physically in the ring. You know, he's always the guy that new guys will work with for Dolph to kind of see what they got, to test them, to push them, to teach them, to get them up to speed. That's why he's in NXT and did that NXT run with the belt and everything. Working with Braun, you know, pair Braun up with Dolph, it's a no-brainer. It's good for Braun to get that rub from a guy like Dolph Ziggler. I don't think Dolph's got incredible charisma, personality. For me, it just never got over to me. I respect and appreciate his immense talent. But his character doesn't do much for me. It's just kind of meh. It always has been. Couldn't care less. Even when he won big gold the night after WrestleMania or whatever, and that was like his biggest, you know, that's when peak Dolph Ziggler, when he was at his highest of highs. And everybody, you know, I even heard people at that time was like, he could be the next Shawn Michaels. He's that good. And in ring, maybe, you know, he's close, but he's not that big of a star, and I don't think he'll ever reach that level, but he's a great utility guy. There's a reason why he's been signed with WWE for as long as he has and why they put him in the roles that he's in. He delivers in everything he does, and look, not everybody can be Roman Reigns, okay? Everybody can be the big dog on top of the mountain, main eventing every WrestleMania, holding the belt up. You know, when you're putting together a show, there's roles, you know, if there's roles for anything. Just like a TV show, there's everybody loves Raymond, and you're Raymond Ramon or Razor Ramon, right? And you're in that episode, you're the star. Seinfeld, you're the star, it's your show. Your homies around you, but then there's the guy in the background that's like delivering the mail or fucking the pizza guy or the taxi driver. There's bit roles. And those are important because they help get the show over in a lot of ways. And Dolph is a bit role player in the WWE, but he's a great bit role player, and he helps get a lot of talent over and does great work. And look, you know, we can sit and talk about, you know, his star power all we like, but the fact of the matter is that when the creative was pitched to Freddie Prinze and everybody else, that why don't we call him Dolph Ziggler? And he shakes everybody's hand. Like, it's ridiculous on its face. It's the stupidest shit ever. But Dolph made it work. He made it work. And the rest is history. And look where he's at. And Dolph Ziggler as a name even is one of those names. Just like, you know, we hear a lot of weird names. I brought up Butch. There's Big Show was kind of weird but now he's just Show. He's just Big Show. You know what I mean? Like, after a while, it just kind of ingrains itself in your brain. But that's all I got to say about that one. If you want to hear the full story, the full deep dive on Dolph Ziggler from Spirit Squad to World's Champion, from the man who wrote the story himself and was in there in the line of fire pitching the ideas and taking the heat, listen to the Freddie Prinze, Wrestling with Freddie Prinze Jr. podcast. Hey, thanks for checking out that clip. Don't forget to check out other clips here on the channel. And while you're there, throw a like, throw a subscribe. And don't forget to check out full episodes each and every Sunday of the Pro Wrestling Podcast.